Welcome, Trish, Kelly, Karen. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Nakitra, Shannon. Thanks again for responding. We'll start at 2 o'clock. Hello as well, Sharon. Welcome, Carmen. Hello, Donna. Welcome. Hello, Susie. Welcome. Good afternoon, Lee. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Dr. Adams. All right, everyone, it is now 2 o'clock. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon, and welcome to our December 1st virtual office hours. I am Faye Colley, one of the education associates here at the Office of Educator Effectiveness and Leadership Development. Today, I am joined by my colleagues, Miss Beverly Flight, who is manning our chat actively. We have Rodney Evans, who is driving our slides for today. And we also have Dr. Julie Hartwell. So before we proceed, just a reminder to eliminate background noise, to make sure to have your mics on mute until we request you to get on the mic to share your thoughts. Before we proceed with the agenda, thank you again for responding to both or either of the questions on the screen. One of our district friends was thinking, you know what, I really want to hear about what districts are doing to promote educator self care or how they're just practicing self care themselves. We know we don't want to get burnt out. It's still a very, very tough time with the pandemic still going on. So I see some responses. So thank you so much for sharing some basic things like, hey, let's just make sure that we get off our phones when we get home and focus on ourselves and eat right and exercise. And I hope that I could practice those. Although for myself, I would say self care that I did during my break is to do some online retail therapy. Shopping is always a good thing for me. All right. So, are there others that who may want to get on the mic just to share and elaborate on their response, or maybe have not had the opportunity to type it in, but just want to share it quickly? on the mic.
Hey everyone, it's Jamie Brown from Jasper County School District.
Hi, Jamie. Go ahead and share with us your self-care practices at this time, or how you promote it with the educators.
Yeah, I guess it goes hand in hand. I've been in charge of the induction mentoring program, and I've been running it with also just a mentoring the mentors and mentoring our international teachers, the PACE TOP program educators, and just doing a segue of just non-school related conversations and just starting every meeting when I come over to all the buildings once a month and putting the emphasis on them and asking the question of, what do you need from me? What can I do for you? And getting, the collaboration of knowing about their personal lives and letting them into mine as well, really breaking the ice in terms of going below that waterline and, checking on their emotional well-being and stressing to them every Friday. I will reach out, whether it's through a Teams meet, in person, or just a quick email to the groups, saying to remember to just disconnect to reconnect with the family. And we don't go into too much detail, but at the end of the week, I usually get some calls, text, emails, whatever, just thanking me for being cognizant of their own emotional well-being outside of the school day. It's made me feel actually very good, to be honest with you. So on a personal level, it's helped me too, just stay hungry, stay motivated to keep going.
That's awesome to hear the benefits that you get from helping a specific group of teachers. And the international teachers actually are very dear to my heart. I know many of them. And what you just said reminded me of the advanced mentor training. If some of you have not done that and you're already a mentor, you might want to take that training that Dr. Howard had worked hard on putting in Moodle with Sarah. That is a very good mentor training, and you'll know more about how to care for our international teachers. So thank you. Is there another person that wants to hop on the mic before we keep going? Melanie might want to explain to me her retail therapy. I might find some tricks on getting the best deals when I do that online. But all right, I've been giving my virtual wait time before I proceed. Spending way too much money. It's the holidays. That's our excuse, extra excuse for that retail therapy. So we're moving on with our agenda. Please take time to review it. And we'll now welcome Dr. Hartwell for the ADEPT reminders.
Thank you, Faye. Good afternoon, everybody. Just wanted to share a few quick reminders regarding first our upcoming trainings. I'm sure you know this, but just wanted to remind you we have one SCTS 3-day evaluator training scheduled for the rest of the school year. That training is currently at the waitlist stage, but email Ronnie Evans at revans@ed.sc.gov, and you'll hear from him a little later in the presentation. But email him if you'd like to add anyone from your district to the training wait list. I would definitely let him know before Christmas if you have anybody you want to add to the wait list to increase the likelihood that your folks get in if there's a cancellation. And that training will be virtual. We also have a coaching conversations training, also the last one for the year. That one's scheduled for March. We got great feedback from participants from our November training, so please consider attending that if you have not already done so, and there's still room for you to register there. Also want to just be sure to ask you ladies and gentlemen to make sure that you are checking your staff credentials report to know who you have certified to be a trainer in your district. While we are sharing here the final dates for our state training, as you know, those trainings fill up quickly, but you don't have to wait to be on the wait list. I think if I had one takeaway from my section, it's that you don't have to wait to be on the wait list. You can and should train locally when the need arises. So please consider partnering with a neighboring district or carving out time to train in district so you don't have such a rush during the summer to get enough folks for each campus. We know this summer may be even more interesting than last summer, if that's possible. So take this off your plate. Go ahead and get as many folks trained as you can in the spring, specifically for SCTS and special areas. On the next slide, um, just wanted to bring to your attention a few highlights of the ADEPT timeline. So you should, at a minimum, and this is what you should be doing, I think, checking at this point in the school year, you should, at a minimum, know the degree first to which the SLO preliminary conferences have been held and forms signed in SC Lead. And that's if, of course, you're using SC Lead to manage the process. But regardless of how you track the process, you should have an idea of how many folks have completed the preliminary conferences. Are 50% of your SLO preliminary signatures in SC Lead? Are you closer to 90%? Do you have all of them done but a few? So just make sure that you have an idea and alert those schools that have not collected. I think a good ballpark is at least 50% of those SLO preliminary signatures by now. I would want to be way north of that, but at least about 50% of those SLO signatures. You should also know the status of evaluations in your district. And I would want to know, I think, more than just a ballpark idea. So, for example, do you know the percent of orientations that have been completed? And that means signed by the educator, first and foremost, by the evaluation chair also. That's not the required one. The required one is by the educator. By this time in the school year, your orientation rate should be somewhere around 90%. So that's a great target for you. So check the status of your signed orientations. It should be somewhere around 90%. What about evaluations created? This should also be upwards of 90%. So here I'm referencing the 21-22 evaluation line, right? That line item under the evaluations tab. Everyone with a South Carolina who's an SC educator who has a code that requires ADEPT should be on that list. So have you checked it? Are you sure that everybody's accounted for? If not, this is a great time to go back in and make sure that you've got everybody on your evaluations list in SC Lead. Also, have you checked to see if you have any evaluations missing contract levels? We are doing a spot check here in the office of our districts, and Mr. Evans is going to review a report to assist you with this check. But in general, when you click on evaluations in the teal bar right at the top of SC Lead and your evaluation list pops up, you should see 3 lines of data, right? If you see only 2 lines, you're missing a critical piece. Could be the contract level, could be the evaluation level, could be the evaluation model. But you should see 3 lines of data. So that's a good eyeball check. Rodney's going to walk you through a report that's going to give you more detail. But just make sure that you've got your contract levels accounted for all of your folks on your evaluations list. I bring it up because we've done a spot check and found many that do not have it. So you don't want to figure out who has been following the wrong set of forms in February or March, right? You still got time to correct it if you can find out who needs to be straightened out now. So I would encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, to do that. Finally, go ahead and check your team composition. So the 2 big reminders here for our veteran adept leads, this is a hat for you, but for some of our newer folks, just check to make sure that for induction 1, educators on induction 1 contracts or annual diagnostic contracts, that they have a mentor on their team. And if you have a highly consequential evaluation, That's an annual summative evaluation. This is the second attempt for them. The first attempt they had not met. This is the second time they're going through annual summative for that highly consequential year, which would be this year. For that team, you should have 3 members on the team. So go back and give these a spot check. So we really want to encourage y'all to use this time in the year to just stop and make sure you've got as much as you can have right, accurate in the system, because it'll make the end of the year a whole lot easier. Okay, any questions?
Do both.
All right, I am then going to turn it over to Rodney. Rodney?
All right. Thank you so
Dr.
much, Dr.
Hartwell, hold on. I do see one hand that went up, but I'm not sure if that was an accident. Dr. Gant?
Yes, I had a question. I noticed that we still have educators who are in our system, but not educators within Lexington One. So it's like our percentage, the ones who have not completed their orientations, they're not educators in our system, and I'm unable to like remove them. Is or can I? Like I haven't been able to. So that's the one thing that's kind
Yeah,
of hurting us.
yes. First of all, if you know that that's why you're at 98% instead of 100%, that's okay, because you'll be able to tell us that if we ever reach out to you.
Okay. Okay.
But if you do want to get it cleaned up, you have to go back to your person, your SC educator or OPCS contact,
Okay.
and get them to remove them from the district. Because as long as they're tied to your district, SC Lead is going to pull them
Okay.
as a part of the nightly feed.
Okay.
Remember, we don't create those records. We just draw those records out of other systems. So as long as you know, hey, these 5 people that haven't signed orientations, they're not even with us anymore, that's fine. Just
Perfect.
keep
Thank
that.
you.
But if you are shooting for 100%, you would want to clean up your rosters through SC Educator. That's a great question.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks, everybody. Rodney?
All righty. Thank you so much, Dr. Hartwell. Thank you, Faye. Okay, sclead.org reports. All right. So while you are managing the ADEPT process in your district and schools, here are some reports that can help you stay on track with your ADEPT timeline that Dr. Hartwell just mentioned. So there are 2 reports, ADEPT reports, that can help you check the status of how evaluations are going in your district. And those are the Staff Evaluations ADEPT report and the Staff Evaluation Status ADEPT report. Let us distinguish between the 2. The Staff Evaluations ADEPT report shows ADEPT evaluations for the current staff at a given location and is the most detailed of the 2. Columns A through J of the sample report are not shown, as those columns pertain to the district code and name, educators' names, schools, and CIDs, while columns K through M will give you the educator's staffing information. Columns O and P will give you the evaluation year information. Columns Q through U will give you the evaluation information, such as evaluation level, contract level, and also whether the evaluation is closed or complete. Now, the Staff Evaluation Status ADEPT report shows the evaluation status for the current ADEPT staff at a given location, and this report is not quite as detailed as the Staff Evaluations ADEPT report. Column M shows the evaluation type, while column N shows whether the educator has an evaluation created in sclead.org. Column O shows whether the orientation has been signed, and column P shows whether the evaluation is complete. Okay. Another way to spot check for missing components of evaluations is using the Evaluation Status ADEPT District Report. Utilizing this report will help you facilitate the documentation of ADEPT evaluations in your district. One feature of this report is that it shows the status of the various components of the evaluation. When looking at this report, you can see at the top that the purple cells generally represent classroom-based teacher data, and the blue cells represent the special area educators data, with the exceptions of columns K through M, which represent both the SLO for classroom-based teachers and the student growth goal for school counselors. It is important to note for the following. It's important to note the following when pulling this report, and that is, do not be alarmed when you see in certain columns. This does not necessarily mean that the educators or the educator is lacking components of his or her evaluation, and I will explain some of this shortly. Make sure to filter the report first by evaluation type in column G. For classroom-based teachers, it is okay to see N for summary, both under preliminary and final in column Z and AA, because summary forms are not required for those educators. If a district requires only an SLO, then for those classroom-based teachers, goals or columns N and O may also be okay to populate an N. For special area educators, it's okay to see N for SLO in columns K through M, since the SLO is a requirement for classroom-based teachers and not special area educators. But in those same columns, K through M for school counselors, you should see a Y for student growth goals once the counselor and the evaluator signs for each conference, as the student growth goal is a requirement for school counselors. Once you filter the report and understand which columns should be Y, you can then determine which educator, evaluator, or administrator you may need to follow up on. With regard to results, do not be alarmed if column A and B result is met, blank, or unknown. SLE.org dynamically calculates scores based on entries. The academic year has not concluded, and likely that not all entries required for the evaluation have been entered. Column AC or complete will only become Y once the district SLE.org adept administrator marks the evaluation complete, and check the box inside the educator's evaluation record inside of SLE.org, of course, which is typically done at the end of the school year. All right. The next report and the last report that I'm going to show you is the evaluation SLOs report. This report is very useful in giving you an overall look at how the district is progressing with the SLO process. The report can also be filtered by school. In this report, you can see all SLOs that have been input and whether each conference in the SLO process has been signed by the educator and the SLO approver. I'm now going to turn it over to Dr. Hartwell.
So I'm working on, can't get it to.
Thank you, Rodney. Did anybody have any questions for Rodney? Looking at the different reports. That SLO report he just talked about would be very helpful for you to get your arms around how signatures are being entered into the system. So I would encourage you to pull that report and, like Rodney said, filter by school. So you'll know how individual schools are progressing, so you're not caught behind the 8 ball for that. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I just wanted to point out, I don't know if anybody, but it's just very confusing when you're mixing a lot of those together. And I'm just trying to find a pattern. I know for us that if there was nothing in the blank in those beginning columns, then that was usually a good sign that those goals and things had been completed. But I will say that going through this process, I'm just going to just be completely honest. Our principals have been extremely frustrated, and trying to interpret what that means. And I'm trying to do the best I can. But when no really doesn't mean no, and don't be alarmed and that sort of thing, it's just been very tricky. And I just didn't know if that was being maybe possibly examined or looked at to kind of tidy that up just a little bit. And also like to go in to see if signatures have, it's been a journey because you have to go through a couple of layers. You have to actually go to that goal, go to details, and then, scroll down to see where those signatures have actually been signed. So I just, it's just not been an easy process. And then trying to interpret the data, going across all those columns, that certain things can go with these particular evaluations, but not these. And I think we'll get the hang of it once we get more, into it. But just initially, and I appreciate Rodney saying, don't be alarmed, because there's been lots of alarms, going off. Well, we thought we signed that. We thought we did that, and then you can't totally trust those beginning columns, even though if you look in the goals, you're like, oh, okay, you're okay, because you got a yes there. But you either got a no or a blank space, in those earlier columns. So it's just been a little tricky.
Well, Crystal, I'll say this. Rodney, can you back up a couple of slides to the color-coded
Sure.
one? This color-coded report is at the end of the list for a reason, because this report is the most comprehensive one, but it is not the only one that helps you understand the status. So we really would suggest if principals were using report, they shouldn't use this report probably until the end of the year. This is great for y'all because you do have a lot of that background knowledge. Well, Ronnie, fast forward to the SLO, because Crystal, you talked about having the conference signatures. This report is available at the school level and is very helpful for principals. Yeah, because P tells you if the educator signed it, Q tells you if the SLO approver signed it, or vice versa. So you can go down this list, and these yes and these no's are definitive. The only report that we have, I think, without having a photographic memory of all of them, that's a little of that, well, it's not going to be yes till the end of the year because the district person has to sign it complete. That's that last report. We share it with y'all. That's this one. Thank you, Rodney. We share this one with you because this is the most dynamic one, but it's also the one where you can see everything at a glance. But you do have to be able to be critical about what you're looking at. But most of the other reports will tell you straight up, yes means somebody signed it. No means they didn't sign it. Here's the staff evaluations report. Thank you, Rodney. If you look at O, if the teacher has not signed their orientation, it's not going to say true, even if the evaluator signed it, because this is tracking the teacher's signature. This evaluation complete is always going to be false until the end of the year, unless you have like a GBE that's finishing their SLO early, because it is looking for all of the markers to complete an evaluation. Okay, so you do have to look at some of the columns critically, but you guys and girls have the wherewithal to, I guess, be very nimble with that color-coded report. But that report was actually a request from the field so that you could see all of the data in one place. It's just that it is a dynamic, it does advance dynamically as entries are put into the system. But you've got some of these other, what I call progress monitoring reports that are very helpful, and you don't, the yeses and nos are very black and white. So
And I agree on regular SLOs. I guess I should have clarified. We're just running into issues with the special area evaluations and trying to interpret that. And as you were talking, I'm trying to pull
report,
that report up to see what that looks like for a media specialist. But what it tells you is evaluation false or no. But I'm trying to look and see, okay, why is it false, and trying to get into those signatures. And you're right, that comprehensive report, that's where that is helpful in trying to answer those principal questions. But unfortunately, just that a regular adept, and I may be just missing something. I'm just not seeing, I guess the depth, for just the special area evaluations. And that's just where I'm struggling a little bit. But we're going to keep looking at
it. Yeah. Before the end of the session, just try to find that report. And we've got Beverly on the line. She can help us, be able to interpret what those columns look like. But yeah, we're certainly open. If you're talking about the yearly evaluation results and indicator detail report for where you have SLP, school counselor, and school librarian individually, if you've got any feedback on those, yeah, let's come back together at the end of the session and kind of talk through what seems a little wacky. And we'll take it back to Miranda. But thank you so much, Crystal. I had another hand up somewhere.
That was Daisha, Dr. Hartwell. Daisha, you could come on the mic if you still have something.
Yes, and I can talk later. I was checking to see if I could use this report. Basically, I did it individually, like one by one, and I just want to see if there was a report. I wanted to let principals know, with the evaluation status, does it only is there a report that shows that if they have 100%, then if they have the 100% for the observation portion, would that be on the report? Because like when I gave an update to principals the other day, I went school by school and I kind of had to look at each person to see if they had that 100% for preliminary cycle. So is there a report that would make that easier, or?
We're going to let's keep going through our presentation, and I will, if I can ask the team to kind of look through and help pull and see which one might work for that, we'll get back with you. Okay, Dr. Taylor?
Thank you.
Okay. And who knows, that may be a report we need to create. But right now, I do want to just take an opportunity to pull that and see what might work best. I think I'm still on the mic. Okay, so in Dr. Howard's absence, we are going to run through some updates around induction and mentoring. So it's very apropos we're talking about reports because there is a new report available. Some of you may have seen the walkthrough report, but both districts and schools now have access to a yearly walkthrough indicators details report. We just call it the walkthrough report because it's where you can see all the walkthrough scores across the school or across the district. So in this report, there's no observation scores, right? Those scores are in other reports because walkthroughs don't impact the observation average. So this report is just for walkthrough scores. It's especially useful, we believe, for districts choosing to conduct walkthroughs for induction teachers in the preliminary cycle rather than doing full observations. So if you have decided to execute that part of the flexibility, you can still look at how teachers are performing even on the walkthroughs by pulling this walkthrough indicators report. Now, at this point, you may notice some zeros in the report. That is actually a bug that we are fixing. And the zero the zero is there because the teacher has entered their self score, but the evaluator has not entered their score. But we're going to fix that. You won't be able to see those zeros anymore. You'll only see the same performance levels of 4, 3, 2, and 1 as you do for an observation. But the domain average will be there if you scored all of the indicators in the domain. So if an evaluator did a walkthrough and only scored 3 indicators, you won't see the domain average. You'll just see whatever those 3 indicator scores were. But if for an induction teacher, the evaluator did a walkthrough and scored all of the indicators, then you'd also have the benefit of seeing the domain averages in this report. But these are only walkthroughs. They'll have no impact on the observation scores. But we wanted you to know that that report is available for you. It's brand new, so if you see any tweaks in it, just let us know. The data provided in this report looks like one of our other overall status reports. So you'll see details of the big evaluation, which you may not need necessarily regarding the walkthrough. That's that row at the top. But you will see the bottom row also, which is just a full complement of all of the indicator scores. And that's like if you look through at columns Q through column AB for instruction, if the evaluator for the walkthrough scored all of the induction indicators, you see them all. And you'll have domain averages. As I said, look at column P. So even though this is a walkthrough and it's not being averaged into their overall status score, you will be able to tell what the domain average is. So we hope that that little tidbit of information is helpful as you support induction teachers or veteran teachers with walkthrough feedback. Okay, so that's the walkthrough report. Just wanted you to know it's out there. I'm going to turn it over to Faye, who's going to share some other mentoring updates from Dr. Howard. Faye?
All right, Dr. Hartwell, before I proceed, I do see that Beverly asked Cheryl, she might have a question that ties specifically to what you just presented. Cheryl, you can hop on the mic.
Thank you. Yes, it does pertain to the walkthroughs. Principals have become really comfortable with SC Lead for observations, and I'm knowing now that more of them want to be using the walkthrough feature for instructional walkthroughs, even for teachers that are goal spaced for the year. And a couple of questions have come up. One, can they just score on targeted indicators if they're working on a plan in their building? But I think some of them have, I guess the other part is, are they held to the same pop cycle requirements by fall and spring for those walkthroughs? So for example, in the fall, because it is the preliminary cycle, even for those instructional walkthroughs, are they required to do the pre-conference? Because I think they're noticing that they can't create a record in LEAD if they don't. If that question is clear.
It is. So I forgot your first question just that fast, but the answer to it was yes. Tell me your first question again, Cheryl.
The first question was about whether they could do specific indicators and
So
not
yes.
everything.
Yes, you can score, say, 2 out of instruction, 1 out of planning, and all of environment, no problem. You can go in just to look at thinking and problem solving and nothing else. You can score those 2 as long as you've tagged that observation as a walkthrough. So given you've tagged the observation as a walkthrough, I'm curious. I'm not sure if it locks you into the feedback for a full pop cycle, meaning you have to have a pre-conference. I would think not, but let us do a little research on that. So thank you for bringing that, because I thought that once you created the observation, selected as a walkthrough, you could just put it in there. But I'll go back and see what the system is providing for you. Either way, it will not lock them into anything because, and this is at first blush without me testing it, it shouldn't lock them into anything because it's not an observation. The system is not reading it as an observation, which has the rules applied to it. But let me test that. Cheryl, who's your regional contact?
That would be Rodney.
Okay, so I'll get with Rodney and we can test that, and Rodney can get you some feedback.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And then yes. So I think that was the big piece here, but the other piece, you can score individual items. Thank you for that. Did anybody else have any questions about walkthrough?
Dr. Hartwell, I think she had a second part to her question about the pop cycle applying if it were a walkthrough.
That's the part that Ronnie's going to test and get some feedback to her on that part. Yeah. Does anybody else have a question? You're welcome.
Julie, Brandon Gant wants to know, is there a way to complete a walkthrough without being on the evaluation team?
I do not know that. To me, I would say no, because you have to be on the team to trigger the observation. You're just tagging the observation as a walkthrough. Mm-hmm. So I would say no at first blush.
So can I ask a follow-up question, which is really a wish list question?
Mm-hmm.
We have found it kind of difficult with the walkthrough system, and we're using SC Lead exclusively as far as our walkthroughs. We have a number of coaches who go into different classrooms, and they're unable to provide that feedback through SC Lead. Now, they still do it like with a note card or something of that nature, but they're unable to provide that feedback if they're not on the team. And another thing that I have found is I have had, what our schools have done is they've just put every administrator on every team. And so when we have situations where someone's going through a formative evaluation and they're getting that pop cycle, I have to remove team members in order for it to be completed.
At the end of the year, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's just what we're finding as problematic with the walkthrough structure. So just some feedback for you all in that area. And I don't know how to fix it. I just, want to let you know what we're seeing.
The only person I would think that has carte blanche rights, whether they're sitting on the team or not, to add a walkthrough is somebody like the principal,
Yep, that's correct.
because they do have carte blanche rights. But to say that a coach who's not on the team, where would they store a walkthrough? Right now, the system's not set up to do that, but that's a grand idea. Um, so we'll take it back to the team and kick it around with Vicky and Lila and Randa and see what we come up with. Okay, might not be anything for this year, but we'll put it on our what we call our bright ideas list. We keep a running tally of all of y'all's feedback and address it when we can slot it in. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Gant.
And I
Yeah,
think Danny's hand is up.
yeah, that I would like I could confirm that we've worked around it. You have to add if you're at a school that has like multiple assistant principals and they weren't originally on a team to do, let's say, a goals-based evaluation. We are communicating that, you may see that the name of an administrator listed there with observation rights. That's so we can conduct a walkthrough. But, it's kind of been a fluid thing that we've been learning and working with. I may have a more concise information that I can share through orientation. But yes, we're in that same dilemma as everyone else, that unless you're on the team with observation rights other than the principal, you can't do that walk through observation. That's where it gets tricky. But on the flip side of the coin, while you're all dealing with that issue, the limiting of the principal's rights is almost as problematic when the principal is on an evaluation team, let's say just to do it an SLO. Then all suddenly they can't view observations and that sort of thing. And I know that's kind of bird walking, a slightly different topic. But the two kind of go together in a sense of an administrative team trying to plan on how they're going to manage, evaluations and walkthroughs and how to have oversight at the principal level. And it all just seems to kind of just get a little muddy because it all ends up back into how those permissions are set. So
Yeah,
I certainly wouldn't mind us having a little more deeper discussion on that.
that's a great point. If you place the principal on the team and assign one role, that will supersede their carte blanche rights. So if you say that we're going to put the principal on here as an SLO approver, and you don't assign observations or professionalism, that's all they'll be able to do. But if the principal is not listed on the team, meaning you're not, that's another thing, because they do have carte blanche rights. They have access to all. But I understand why people are placing the principals on the team, because you want transparency on who's evaluating that particular educator. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. But I've got enough good note takers on the call today to kind of help me figure out how we can paraphrase your questions and get them back to Lila and Vicky and parse a solution out. But yeah, it's all around those permissions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it seems like you got a good handle on that and a good feel, and I appreciate that. Most appreciate. The amount of time and energy that I have spent in that particular area getting our evaluation set up. I have a pretty comprehensive setup process here in our district.
Yeah.
Getting signatures, getting all actions done, getting teams created and all that. That's all great. It's really the permissions, getting those team permissions exactly right has been the most difficult, most problematic on the setup. Now that we've kind of learned how to do signatures and everything else, and orientation, etc., that's been the most problematic area. So getting our setup.
I understand. What received. Thank you, Danny.
All right, Dr. Hartwell, I think we have given the opportunity for our colleagues to raise questions around what we've discussed. And so far, it looks like we are really hitting on the topics that we need to discuss, because there are lots of interest, lots of questions, lots of brand new bright ideas. I have been taking notes on my sticky. One of the people that will bring this to Lila for discussion. And again, no promises, but we will put it on our bright ideas and everything that you share with us at this time. There are additional questions in the chat. Just real quick, Cheryl, is your question still tied to the previous slides that were presented? Or is it
Yes,
something we can
please. I
discuss at
was
the end?
wondering, I'm not a technology person, but I'm wondering if NIET put another category on it, like instructional coach, and that person could do walkthroughs. They would still be a member of the team, but it would work out that they could do walkthroughs and it would not be a part of the evaluation. I don't know. I just had that idea.
Yes, ma'am. It sounds like that was exactly what Danny was explaining, but if it isn't, please put it in the chat so we can make sure to compile all these wonderful suggestions. All right. Okay, so at this time, we are going to roll with our slides. This one is not something new right in front of you, just a reminder that there's a current permission available to all mentors in SELEAD.org. If they're on that team as mentors, they'll have access to mentoring notes. And the big takeaway is this is not required. This is just a placeholder to enter communications between the mentor and the mentee. It's only visible to them, not to the principal, not to the district, not to us at the state level. Also, we wanted to touch on this because there's a district that said, hey, our mentors do not know what to do with this. So again, it's a placeholder for communications between the mentor and the mentee. We do not track this. We're not checking on the progress of that at all. Moving on to the next slide. This is how it looks like to the mentor when they add a mentoring note. So of course we say it's not required, but maybe your district might want to create a business rule for your mentors to add in something in there. But again, from us, we do not expect you to have anything in that section for your mentors. And then moving on, just a reminder that induction is coming up soon, and we should prepare for that. So as a reminder, Induction 1 educators must be verified by February 1st. So your district will receive funding based on the number of Induction 1 teachers that you report. So Dr. Howard, our OEELD induction and mentoring coordinator, will be the one to review the evaluation records inside SELEAD.org, and she will reach you via email by January 20th to verify that the information in SELEAD.org is accurate. So let's just dive a little bit deeper on how to prepare for that induction count. So on the next slide, to help ensure that the counts are accurate, you have to see to it that all Induction 1 teacher contract or evaluation levels are entered in SELEAD.org. So you can enter that through the bulk evaluations feature, or if you are an import district, you could use the import spreadsheet in SELEAD.org. So for those that are not import, you use the evaluations tool. You set the contract levels up based on the recommendations reported from last school year. But for educators that are new, it might read as no data. So you'll have to manually add that information, the contract levels and evaluation levels manually. So for our friends that are import districts, they'll get a spreadsheet inside SELEAD.org. When they download that, they'll see multiple tabs at the bottom. And what you have to do is make sure that for those educators that are not in your district, that you're not setting up evaluations for, make sure to delete the row where that educator's name appears. You have to be on column 1 and then have your cursor right there, right click, hit delete for the whole row. It is not a staffing system, so don't add names as well on what you download in that spreadsheet. And just a reminder, we have SE Educator as the new staffing system that communicates with SLE.org. So for those districts using that spreadsheet, and also for those using the bulk evaluations, make sure that the staffing is correct in SE Educator so that it will populate the right educators' names for you to add evaluations records for. And then just as a note, to help you ensure that your numbers are accurate, you can use the staff evaluations adept report that Rodney discussed earlier. You can filter that to look at the column and filter it to induction 1 teachers and just compare with your internal records if those are the teachers that should be on induction 1 or if you're missing anybody from that list. And if you need additional support, you can definitely reach out to your regional representative. And let's see. All right. So thanks, Cheryl, for typing that in. And we will actually communicate that after discussing that would be actually SE lead that manages the reports. But segue NIET resources. So we're going to talk about some new resources that were shared, that are being shared by NIET, who is a close partner to us. As you know, they created our STS 4.0 rubric. So these free resources, you'll see there are 2 sets. The first set is around mentoring. Some of you have asked for, hey, could we get some more mentoring resources? Anything, just something. So here you'll see the reflective questions. Those offer guidance on how to review current mentoring programs or considerations for starting new mentoring programs. And then on the list also is a report, which is based on a study in Louisiana and Texas for their mentoring programs. And that report offers 3 big strategies to support new teachers. And they offer a summary page for each strategy, which includes the challenges and appropriate action steps. And then also around mentoring, they have some blogs that talk about the importance of mentoring and what some mentors focus on with their mentees are also there. So the second set of resources are around coaching. NIET offers a coaching hub with a variety of resources such as videos, walkthrough tools. And in this one, the video is around the principal's role as a strong instructional leader who uses data to support and coach teachers. And then linked here as well is a tool that may be used by coaches to help teachers or by teachers themselves to use in considering actions they can take to strengthen student ownership in the classroom. All right. Okay. I will be happy to drop those links, Katrina. And as I do that, I'll go ahead and turn over to Beverly Flight for our section on special areas.
Hi, everyone. Just sharing just a few pointers really quickly. Our office is collecting and calling for exemplars to use as models for the school library plan, the school counselor plan, and the student growth goals. So send your best samples to me at bflythe@ed.sc.gov by June the 1st. If you would like those redacted with names removed of the educator or the school, whatever information, if you'd like that redacted, feel free to go ahead and redact it, or please make a note in the email so that we can change names for privacy. We currently have approximately 2,000 enrolled students in Moodle who've never logged in to take the courses. So you've registered the SAMs have registered them as students and assigned them the courses, but they've never even logged in past setting up their account. This jams the system and it clogs the system and it makes running reports a nightmare. So if you could please remind your enrollees to complete their assigned trainings in a timely manner. This high number of inactive registrants really is causing some issues on the back end. And so if we could get them to go ahead and take their course that they've been assigned, that would be great. And while I'm on that topic, Rodney, if you'll advance to the next slide. Here's a Q&A that a question that I get a lot. An educator is not showing up as a choice of evaluators at a particular school. The evaluator completed their Moodle training months ago. Why are they not coming up as a choice? Well, first you need to check the credentials in their profile to be certain that the process was completed by the SAM. And checking that credential in SC Lead, we've shown you how to do that before. And if you need a refresher on how to check that, please let me know. If the credential is there, then you need to check the staffing and make sure that they've been staffed. Even if they're not permanently staffed at that location, you will need to add them just like you do evaluators for teachers. One thing I'd like to add is just like you've probably noticed that we are missing our dear friend and colleague, Dr. Kim Howard, today. This time of year is iffy. It's the holidays, so a lot of us are taking leave. Some of my more blessed colleagues have extra leave that if they don't take, they will lose. And so we may or may not be in the office every day. As you all know, it's cold and flu season. Apparently that's a thing again. And COVID is not the only thing that people can catch. So if you will, please allow that at least 72 hours once the special areas manager, remember that the special areas manager is the only person in the district that should be communicating those credentials to Dr. Howard. And Dr. Howard is the one on our team to import those credentials. I know she's been out a couple days, but please just wait on her. If it's an absolute emergency, if something's going on and you've got somebody that, you know, has not been credentialed yet for some reason, if you reach out to me, then between Dr. Howard and myself, we can get that set up. We don't want to mess things up by having a lot of different people doing things and tripping over each other. So if you have an issue with credentials, please let Dr. Howard or myself know, and we're happy to help you. But we would ask that you be patient in giving us time to get those credentials uploaded. There are days that we won't be in the office to check emails, and just like yourself, we have a lot to catch up on when we miss. So if you'll we're just asking for some patience and grace. If you have any questions at all about anything regarding the special areas, you know my email address, you know my phone number, please feel free to reach out to me. So thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Beverly. Dr. Cheryl Warren, I still see your hand up. I wasn't sure if that's from earlier or you have a new question that came to mind.
I don't have another question. I'll put it down. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. So if there are no other questions, are there questions that we missed out in the chat, Beverly?
I don't think we missed anything. I did have one question from Daniel Odo about induction count and winter pace. If those educators were given a contract and they do not have a certificate number, a CID, by the end of January, you should close their evaluation, incomplete them. They are not inducted. They should not be part of your induction count. If they're certified by the time the count is due, then they should be included in the count. Winter pace is kind of tricky with contracts or LOAs, so that's our rule. If they are certified and have a CID by the end of January, they should be good to go. If they're not, you have to remove them and close the evaluation and take them out of that induction count.
Thanks so much, Beverly. And Daisha, I see your hand up. Hop on the mic.
Okay, so that was going into my question. So we had a couple, for example, international teachers that may have come after that 42-day period. So I know that they had to be changed to LOA, but they do have their certificate. So would that be considered in the induction count or no?
No, not if they're on an LOA.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much for that. All right, while you're thinking of some more questions to ask, I wanted to spread some holiday cheer. Holidays are around the corner.
Faye, before you
Yes.
spread that cheer,
Okay, good.
I wanted to come back because it's exciting. I wanted to come back to Dr. Taylor's question about, is there a report that just speaks to full completion of the requirements for the preliminary cycle? That answer is no, but you can get there kind of around the bend, but pull the staff evaluation observations report. When you pull that report, you can filter by school, and then you can look at, I would filter by school. So I'm just looking at one school. Then I would alphabetize the row by last name. So that way Williams is together, Smith is together, Jones is together, right? This is the educator's last name. So then you would look over in the staff evaluation observations report to column V, where it says like fall semester. So if this person is summative, you need to see 2 fall semester observations. If this person is induction, you would only see 1 fall semester observation, but make sure it says observation in V and not walkthrough, right? So it's a way to get to it, but yeah, pull the staff evaluation observations report, get down to the school level, or if you can do it at the district level, that's cool too. But group the educators, filter alphabetize the last name so that the educator's lines are together. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so I think that's the easiest way right now to see, hey, who's got all of their preliminary observations done at this point. If not, you're going to have to open up each record, and I think that's what Cheryl was talking about, and look to see who has those information messages that say, hey, you don't have enough of this or that. But that staff evaluation observations report, as long as you got the educators together, like Julie, Susan, Ray, you can look across to column V and column W, really, to make sure that they've got fall enough observations and that they were tagged as observations. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks
Yes,
so
ma'am.
much, Dr. Hartwell. And she is our lead project manager when we started sclead.org. So you got the best person on call. And Erin, you have your hand up. Go ahead, hop on the mic.
Yeah, I have an SC lead question. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. Rodney, I sent this to you earlier today, but I'm assuming that we haven't had a chance to connect on it yet. So we're a consensus district, and we are having a couple of situations where the system is looking for a second observation in the preliminary cycle when the flex rules allow for them not to have but one. So I'm just wondering if SC Lead is going to update to those flex rules, or if we're missing something, or how that's being addressed.
I am not 100% sure. Rodney forwarded me that question to get some feedback, so we're going to reach out to Randa. But I think what's happening is that it is not going to give you new information messages because we would have had to program the whole system over, but it would allow you to complete at the end of the year. So even though you might still see that information message up there that's saying, it doesn't have enough observations for the fall semester. We understand that because we have the flexibility in there. But at the end of the year, the system would allow you to complete. So what I've encouraged Rodney to do is just to reach back out to Lilith and make sure that's right. He's going to do that back legwork and get back with you. Okay?
I can say I've seen that problem as well. And what I've had to do is make sure the teacher is, if they're induction, make sure they're induction. If they're continuing, make sure they're continuing.
Yeah.
And then that's been a situation where we've had to remove evaluators. So there's only one evaluator on that team, and they're the evaluation chair. I don't know if you've tried those, but that's how we troubleshot that situation. Just hope it works for you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Gant and Dr. Hartwell. This is the beauty of this office hours. I know we are right at 3 o'clock. We'll be happy to stay online. But I did, again, want to spread some cheer before I send anybody off. Pulling from my sticks, I pulled our participants list. I'll be sending you some Dunkin' Donut gift cards virtually. So we have all your email addresses. Number 11 is Lila Grooms. And let me see. We have big numbers here, so I'm gonna actually multiply this by 3. Okay, we got 24. We have Laura, and then I'll put one more, multiply it by 2, 28, and Lucretia. So congratulations. Enjoy your coffee. And one other plugging, spread some love by letting us know in the chat if you're holding trainings, SETS 4.0 trainings. Dr. Hartwell shared that there's a wait list already, but you might be able to help a neighboring district by letting them know that you're holding a training sometime soon in the coming months. So if you could just put your name in the chat, your contact information, to let us know, let our colleagues know that you're having training, and hopefully they can join. So thanks so much, everyone. If you have anything else, please stay on. Otherwise, have a lovely afternoon.